Welcome back to another Abs Notebook Show with the hockey coach Francis directly for the beautiful country of Terran on amazing great Thursday night, January 2nd, 2025. Happy New Year for everybody. We still, this time of the holidays, a celebration until the World Junior Championship is over. But maybe for Team Canada, will be over the next couple hours, losing 3-1 the last time I checked. Team Canada. Oh, and French, maybe in English also, we say a fiasco for Team Canada again for the second year back to back. Last year they lose on the quarterfinal. Looked like it could happen again. Same situation for the Team Canada. 12 game in NHL in action tonight. We're going to give you a little bit more what's going on around each game. A lot of it's fun team play again. It's fun Atlantic Division team play like Detroit Red Wings. We're going to watch the Ottawa Senators also are in action. So we're going to follow up with everything around the NHL. And of course, tonight we talk about the Montreal Canadiens. Notebook usually is the Wednesday night, but because yesterday was January 1st, we bring that show on the Thursday night for this week. Just the game before the Chicago Blackhawks is Canada Avalanche for Montreal Canadiens. So it's really a good time to pop up here talking about the Montreal Canadiens, what's going on. And of course, it's always good to talking about the Montreal Canadiens with some kind of the people help me as a co-host. Tonight, he's back in the house after a great time during the holidays. He is fresh, in recovery, and ready to attack the year of 2025 for the prediction of the Montreal Canadiens. So we're going to welcome him right now from Hawkesbury. Marko Larrabee is in the house tonight.
Yes, sir. Happy New Year, Hockey Nation. Definitely had a great holiday. You're absolutely right, Coach. I feel refreshed, feel excited. Really, really relaxing last couple days. So much hockey, too much hockey to watch. It's like your head is spinning trying to watch all the great hockey that's on, especially tonight, man. Like just so much to watch. But what an exciting time of year for hockey fans, and really excited to join you and reconnect. It's been a while. It's been, I think, like a week or something like that. So excited to be back.
Yeah, you have to be around, or maybe you pop up between the holidays now, after Christmas one night.
I don't remember. It's all a blur. Like, say, like anything, like the time between Boxing Day and then like January 4th, it's like one long Sunday to me. It just feels like
It's
a
more
long.
complicated, I believe, for me also, Marco. Christmas during the
Yeah,
week, like Monday, Tuesday,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
like you thinking it's always Saturday every day. Now you realize
It's
it's
been
only
one. Yeah,
Wednesday. What's going on? You know what I mean? So it's a little bit confusing because the week is honestly the holidays. It's only week. So, but look,
yeah.
we are like you said, you have a really second half of 2024 with a new job, with more responsibility at your job. That will give you the time to recover at least for the upcoming year 2025. So we wish you the best for the 2025. They're going to
Thank you.
give you a return of it. Detroit will lead by 2 goals, 2 time. Now they tie the game at 3-3. Sean Manin is 14th goal of the year. Zach
It's the,
Werenski, do you think he is
it's
right now on the nomination for the Calder Trophy?
no choice. Like, especially now that Quinn Hughes is going to miss some time. To me, he's got to be right there. Coach, at this time of the year, especially now with Montreal being in the mix again, you're just hoping for as least amount of 3-point games as possible. So when I see teams like Detroit and Columbus, like the last thing you want to see is them go to overtime. So hoping that just one of those teams wins in regulation. But yeah, really like we saw him just not too long ago against Montreal, Warinsky, and he had just been coming off. He had a pretty bad knee injury, and he was doubtful for that game against Montreal, and he was still all over the ice. So, really, really good season for him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's at least nominated, but I'd say he's the front runner right now.
Yes, right. We already have the save of the year, maybe after today's quick for the New York Rangers. Have an amazing, great save. Maybe he's going to be maybe the top 10 best save of the year of the season 24-25 and NHL. If you have a time to watch this, will be good. Have a difficult time with his mask collar full for
Hmm.
quick, you have a chance to watching this, is really it's strange. Like I don't know,
Hmm.
it's really weird looking for me, but yeah, maybe a purpose behind the mask.
the weirdest the weirdest mask right now in the NHL, I think, is Bobrovsky because he looks like his mask looks like he should be playing for the Colorado Avalanche. It's like blue and white. Just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't match the colors at all.
That's funny about that. Ovechkin scored a goal, by the way,
Wow.
a couple of minutes
Crazy.
ago, probably goals. So is 18 of the year. Amazing. 18 goal already. 24 goal to reach Gretzky, A2, like you mentioned. We're going to welcome everybody. Thanks to be a part of the show. Happy New Year, everyone. XL is in the house. And our tab co-host is in the house. Claude Richard, directement de Ottawa, is in the house. Welcome back, Claude. Hopefully you're doing well. Claude was live with us during the New Year
Nice.
party, so glad to see
Nice.
Claude live. Thanks to be with us. Then we have Run with Kings, moderator, big fan of the Kings, of the looking good for the Los Angeles Kings. Another big W yesterday, or the
Oh
day
yeah.
before that. Yeah, yesterday got the Devils 3-0. So great
3-0.
performance of the King. And send the man, welcome back, Charles. Scotland. Scotland is in the house. Welcome back. Canary Island right now. So I apologize, Canary Island, for Charles. Hopefully you're doing well over there. PLW back in the house with some kind of Czech Republic to win 5 times and Sheffield to score. So you make it PLW. PLW Thursday night is rare to see you. Glad to see you aboard. Usually Thursday is off night. A2, welcome back. Happy New Year. Butch, welcome also. Hopefully you're doing well, Butch. Glad to see you around. And Mr. Abination knocked the door. Welcome back, Mr. Abination. Hopefully you're doing well. Have a clash with Abination on the fantasy league this week. Was equal 31.7 until tonight. I don't know what's going on. I didn't watch. And Mr. Eminem is in the house. Dimitrov, no, he's not going to be with Montreal in the next 3 months. Mr. Eminem, a good question about that. Thanks, Bush. Hopefully you're doing well. Happy New Year to you and your friends and your family. Larry Lavallee, welcome back. Larry's still in New York, I believe. I don't know he's in Arizona yet, but whatever you are, Larry Lavallee, always a pleasure to have you aboard. RJ Calabro already here in the house from New Jersey. Welcome back, RJ. And hopefully you're doing well. Bob Smith, welcome again, Bob Smith, followed by Sam. Sam, of course. Peter, welcome back. Hopefully you're doing well. Peter, all those answer of your question will be answering by Mr. Marko in the next 30 minutes. Another great question, Peter. I appreciate a lot. And then we have Mr. OD. Welcome back. ODR is in the house. Thanks so much. And then everybody is look like all ready to rock and roll for the show tonight. So we appreciate that. Thanks for everybody. Don't forget to click on the likes and don't forget Montreal play tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's Chicago Blackhawks. So join me live for the play-by-play of the Montreal Canadiens happening. Ottawa lead 2-1 against Dallas at 3-3 Red Wings Jackets, 1-1 Panthers Hurricane. The Rangers lead 2-1 against the Boston Bruins. The Wild and the Capitals 2-2 right now. And the Jets 2-1 over the Ducks. Ducks, Leo Carlson scored his 8th goal of the year for that. The Buffalo Sabres play Colorado Avalanche at 9 o'clock. The game to watch. The Flames play at 9 o'clock against the Team Utah. The Sharks, Lightning, Canucks, Kraken, and the Flyers go tonight. So that's what we got on the program. And NHL, of course, RG Canabo is going to give you everything happening about the NHL tonight. So Marco, go to attack. What we got tonight. The subject of the night, first of all, is about the a step forward for 2025. That's the we try to talk about for the Montreal Canadiens. They finished strong this season, the year 2024, with a couple of W on the road. We'll talk about this the next couple of minutes. But first of all, we're going to give you a bit news about the Montreal Canadiens. The news is coming from two players. Maybe the fans going to looking for the next couple of years in front of them. If I can find a way, I can find the information. Rookie of the month for Lane Hudson and for Evan Demidov. Lane Hudson, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points for the game. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I would like to hear from you about Lane Hudson and Evan Demidov. Both of them are the rookie of the year. And what this an impact for the Montreal Canadiens for the 2025. Honestly, that's what we want to talk about this. So, Dimitrov finished with 7 games, 4 goals, 6 assists, 12, 20, 2 per game. Dimitrov have a really good, strong a couple of last games. St. Ken Hughes visit him. Dimitrov, honestly, Rottenberg need Dimitrov more. Dimitrov need Rottenberg right now. So that's the reason Dimitrov play. The KHL is off for 4 days. They return the next tomorrow, I believe they return. So go to follow up the mid of course. But that's what we're at right now. So give us a bit more about the rookie of the month for Montreal Canadiens and the mid with the KHL.
Well, yeah, coach, you're right. It's great news. Couldn't come at a better time, right, for Montreal fans. Montreal's hot, and your two top prospects, arguably in the organization, are peaking at the right time here, right? So, looking at Demidov, you're right. Like since Ken Hughes came by, and coach, I don't know, did you watch the video that they did with Ken Hughes with Rottenberg and Vincent Le
Yeah.
Cavalier? It's very interesting. It's kind of a, I don't know if you felt the same way, but it felt like a hostage taking kind of video. Like it was very weird tone to it, but it was very interesting, right? To for them to meet and to kind of have the cameras there so we could see. But really great that Montreal got to go there and see him. And nice to see that Demidov is getting a little bit more ice time. I've watched a couple of the games, and what I like other than just the points is he's winning some more kind of 50-50 battles. To me, those are the things that I look for is off the puck, right? And his off the puck play, I think, has been very good as well, which I think is important if he wants Roddenberg to kind of continue to put him out there. So, like what I'm seeing there, would like to see the TOI go up even more, but really good signs there. In terms of Hudson, like same amount of points as Macklin Celebrini I think for the month of December, but you have to say, he is a defenseman, right? So it's pretty miraculous, for a defenseman to be producing at this rate. That's almost like a point per game ratio here, coach. So really, really nice to see. Finally, he broke the ice and got his first 2 goals. I'm sure that was kind of weighing on him a little bit. So nice to see him kind of break the ice and get those couple goals. And I heard part of your show last night with Devin, and I agree that we're starting to see a little bit more of a well-rounded game. You're seeing him take a little bit less risk in his defensive zone, which means that his offensive production might go down a little bit. And you're seeing him kind of like choose some simpler plays. Now, before everybody kind of like jumps on that and says, "Oh, you can't muzzle a guy like that." Like, I'm not saying they have to muzzle him, right? Like, we want him to be creative and we want him to dangle and do all the things that make him special. But it's all about picking the right time of the game, right? So, and where on the ice. So, when you're at the when you're at the defensive blue line, it's not a time to do that. If you're the last man back, it's not the time to do that. And it's game management, right? So, we're seeing that when Montreal has a lead, Martin Saint Louis does not hesitate to continue putting him out there. Although you did see him at the end of the Vegas game, he did pair Carrier with Matheson towards the end of the game. And I didn't see too many people complain about that. I think it makes sense, right? Like you're kind of locked down deep pair. So listen, I love what I'm seeing from Hudson. A little bit more maturity in his game, a little bit more selection in terms of when to take risks, and he continues to produce. So what's not to like, coach? Like we've talked at length about him all year. To me, the most surprising thing about him is the level of intensity that he brings and the level of competition that he brings. He is a pro's pro, right? Like to me, like you see that the players that end up excelling at this level are the players that work harder than anybody else. And to me, Hudson has that in spades. Among the fact that he has the amazing talent, he has the work ethic and the belief in himself to take him this high. So very, very exciting.
Well said. I cannot ask, tell more about what you just described, Hudson. I would say to you, Hudson, for me, is growing his game properly the right way. And I think that remind us many times with you and me, we talk about Cole Caulfield, right? We want Coffee score goal, right? But he needs to also take care about the other side of the game. That's exactly what Hudson is learning from the Montreal Canadiens this year, after weeks after week, um, and that's not showing his game. His game, honestly, Marco, is more about inside of the offensive zone from the blue line to the goal line. This is where Leonardson need to consider what he's doing since the beginning of the season. And I think
Yeah.
he had a kind of freedom on that situation. And on the other side, it's getting better. But look, sometimes he's so good. Like he don't need to be 220. He just stop the player with his stick, his angling, his position face to an opponent player is really an exceptional player. Great vision, and you have a great year. For Dimitar, I will say to you, the only thing for me, Dimitar, is sometimes he's surprisingly, he's maybe need to win more the battle, but he's normal like a 18 years old versus a 27 years old, a 28 years old. You need to get bones stronger, but you have a good stick. This is one thing I really like, and the game is going to change when Dimitar would be Montreal. We said what he's really good on the quick up. So when the puck is come back to the Montreal Canadian example, like a 1D, he's already flying up. And the KHL or the system is SKA is at the red line or and before the red line, they're going to down the puck all the way down, and they have a Dimitar Krizyuk and another one, Klodov, where they are very fast and they beat the defenseman opposite side to recover the puck in the back of the defense. But look, this is a great news because this is the core at the two defense position, and they're supposed to be the superstar for the Montreal Canadiens at long term. That's what is good news to see Hudson and Dimitar, the rookie of the
Yeah.
month. So that's good. I
It would
think
have
it's
been
the
great.
second, the third
It would have
time
been
he come.
amazing to. It would have been amazing to see Hage at the World Juniors. That's really the only missing piece. That it would be nice to have him showcased a little bit more. But other than that, you're right, Coach. Like all our top prospects are getting better and better opportunities to showcase at different levels. So it's really, really good news.
Yeah, absolutely about that. So we'll see what happening with them. We're going to follow them. When Dimitar play, we're going to bring all the news about him for sure for the rookie of the month. So congratulations for both of them. By the way, Ramis Bervis played for Sweden today. Get another assist. Bervis surprisingly have a good year. Draft 224, I believe, overall. That's two pick prior to
Seventh
the end.
round. Seventh round.
Yeah.
Seventh round pick. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something about that. There are a couple of people. El Ensign asked this question to you. Does New Hook move to the third center next year? One there. I apologize, I put this there, but uh, one that he takes his spot on the third line. Do you see New Hook as the third center?
Well, listen, it's it's an option, right? I personally see him more as a winger. To be honest, like it's great to have the versatility of him having to plug in a hole once in a while. I don't I wouldn't be as comfortable having New Hook as your third line center just because his faceoffs are not as strong, and it really depends what happens with Evans, right? Like if Evans doesn't get re-signed, then there's a lot of and I'm sure we'll talk about that tonight, Coach, but then that opens up a lot of different issues for Montreal in terms of what they're going to do down the middle, right? So, to me, ideally, he's playing wing, and I'd say third line wing, right? Because if Demidov is going to be joining the team next year, then you imagine that he would slot up in that top six, right? So, yeah, I would more see Newhook playing wing, but again, he can come in and do that. But I think Montreal's a stronger team if they can have, because again, look at some of the success Montreal's having with their PK right now and being able to defend leads late in games. Like you need a guy that's going to be able to come and win faceoffs. The last thing you want to do is to have Suzuki come in and start taking D zone draws late in at different times of the game. You want him to have more O zone starts. And in order to do that, you need to have your bottom six forwards that are dependable. You can put them on the ice, kind of what we're seeing now, the Montreal's depth. So I would be a little bit more concerned if Newhook ends up at center.
Yeah, I think it's like I said. I think it's an option for the Montreal Canadiens if something don't turn the way they want. But I don't think this is the their vision.
first plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think it's good, Marco, to be a winger because he can cover center too. Like, he want to face off on the left side, example, right? He can be there and he can
Yeah.
pick. We want to have a two center per lines. That's, is a prototype about that, but we'll see what happening. I'm talking in a trip where it's very interesting. Usually, they're struggling on the holidays trip. I did a video a couple of weeks ago. The 11th crucial game for the Montreal Canadiens. It started with the middle of I think the first game was against Pittsburgh and all the way to the Colorado this week. It's a very crucial game. They have to win 6 games to be a part of the stay in the mix. And so far, they are there. And they are 6-3 after 9 games. They did 2 times a streak of 3W. This is rare for the Montreal again. They did only 1 time last year. So now they did it twice this season. They went for the first time since 2018, 2 games back to back in Florida. Beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. And in the month of December, the Montreal Canadiens have won 9 times. This is the first time since December 2018 also when they have a record of 10-5. So they have a lot of great positive happening for the Montreal Canadiens, but I want to focus more and give us, Marco, what do you think about the round trip, the 5 games they have, after Christmas? And they beat Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, and the Vegas Golden Knights, where is stunning, is shocking. No one predict that, and we'll see what happening again against Chicago and Colorado. But what do you feel about that road trip for the Montreal again right now?
Well, I think we can't say nobody predicted that. I think didn't Devin predict 6 points? He made us promise that we would bring that up, so we'll give him his flowers. I think he did predict that, but not many people would have predicted that for sure. Coach, like what an exciting stretch of hockey we got to watch, right? Really, really fun hockey to watch, and to me, it's just a continuation. It's a building. Like Martin St. Louis said, it's not like something that just magically appeared out of nowhere. It's something that kind of they've been building towards, right, for quite a while. It's interesting to watch people, other media kind of around the NHL. They look at Montreal winning and they're like, oh, look, they started winning when Patrick Laine joined the lineup. Of course, Patrick Laine has something to do with that, right? Like he's an important piece of why they started winning. But this is just really kind of a continuation of what we've seen all the way starting into November, right? With the team playing better defensively and all that. So the only thing that I would say, like I've heard your show, Coach, like, what else is there to say other than, it's an amazing performance, like just solid team efforts all around for these 3 games. So I'll kind of like maybe talk about something that I haven't heard you guys talk about yet, which is, it's been pretty balanced scoring, right? But one thing that you want to see maybe to have this continue is, you're seeing a lot of production from that fourth line, which is amazing, right? But right now, Jake Evans is at I think like 30% shooting percentage or something like that. So, and then Armia is lighting it up. Heineman is lighting it up. So it's great that you're starting to see a little bit more production from the second line, but you're going to want to see a little bit more production from the first line here if you're going to want to kind of like really kind of keep this consistent, right? Because it's not like I know Montreal is going to be a team that's built on rolling 4 lines continuously and doing that and having that depth scoring. So I think that's going to continue if Montreal is going to be successful. But you kind of, it's, Coach, we always say like, when you're looking at success like this, you're wondering, okay, is it real? Like, is it because the goaltending's been out of this world? Like, are games being stolen or anything like that? So I think overall, these games were not stolen. These were solid team games, and they were well earned. All 3 of those games against Florida and with Vegas. The only thing that's a little bit of maybe a mirage is that production coming from the fourth line, right? So if Montreal, because would you agree, Coach, like that's going to dry up a little bit here, right? Now, one thing you could say too is that the power play hasn't really produced during that stretch either. I think they only had 1 power play goal. They didn't have a lot of power play chances at all, to be honest.
I believe I could be wrong, Marco. I think they have 5 power play in the last three
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. And I don't even recall. I think there might only be one power play goal if I'm not mistaken. So what you hope is that okay, maybe the fourth line production will slow down, but maybe they'll start getting a couple more power play opportunities, and the power play will kind of backfill some of that offense that they need, right? So that would be the only kind of thing, like. But overall, it's like, for anybody who's played Mortal Kombat, remember like a flawless victory at the end, like when you can do a special move. It was a flawless victory by all three, to be honest. Like, in Florida and in Las Vegas. To me, the most impressive of the three games. You look at the Florida game and you're like, oh, well, that's obviously the most impressive because it was 4-0. But I don't think it was, because Florida had been struggling. They'd been shut out the game before, and I think they'd been shut out another two times in the last 5 games. So they've been struggling to score. So I'm not saying it wasn't a solid game, but to me, the Tampa game was really, really good. But then you could say that they were missing, I think they were missing Ansel that game. So a little question mark there. But to me, the Vegas game is the most impressive because Vegas was so hot. Vegas, I don't think, played a bad game. Like, maybe it's not their best game, but they played their game. They played patient, they played heavy. And I love the fact, to me, the most reassuring thing. And I think I remember saying that in the chat, like, coming in while you were doing the play by play, is like, Montreal needs to be patient. Just stay with the plan, be patient. And that's exactly what they did, coach. Like, they don't feel like they need to kind of come back and get into the game right away, start cheating to create offense. They're trying the plan and they're playing patient. And like Martin Saint Louis keeps saying, they're not feeding the other team's offense with their own actions, right? And with a team like Vegas, we saw it the last time they played Vegas. That's exactly what happened, right? They went tried to go down the middle of the ice a couple times and a couple turnovers, and Vegas is going to kill you. They'll eat you alive every time that you do that. So to me, the most impressive thing was that last Vegas game, because they played patient, they came back. So many positive things, like, coach, like, I think it's clearly the best stretch of hockey that Montreal's played since Martin Saint Louis has been the coach, right? So can't ask for too much more than that for Christmas holidays, for sure, right? So much fun.
We said hockey, I think the coach, everybody said, the most important thing for the players and the team is confidence. And when you have a confidence, but because they believe with their confidence, but that's the reason they are more patient. That's the reason the maturity of the team is growing this year. And Martin Louis said that one is priority this year is to learn to teach the team to learn to win game. And this is a
Yeah,
Vegas is a great example about
yeah,
exactly where the best team in NHL win those games exactly like Montreal did against Vegas. Patient,
yeah,
wait for the turnover, and you can see Vegas lead after one period. They're starting after that to make mistake, and Montreal capitalized for those mistakes. And he said what he said in English, like, don't shoot yourself.
in the foot.
Yeah, right. Martin
Yeah,
Sou report this many times, right? We beat again by ourselves because the performance we did tonight, or the
yeah,
chaîne débarque. La chaîne elle
yeah.
débarque pas là, présentement pour
Or
le
you
Montreal Canadiens.
puking all over yourself, which was another very colorful way of putting that. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right, coach. I remember. I don't know if you might remember this, coach. Like, not everybody remembers this, but in 1993, when Montreal won the cup, right, when they went on their run, I remember this is the thing that you heard the most, right? Every series that after Montreal would win the series, the team would say like, oh, I don't know, I felt like we could have beat them, but they just don't beat themselves. And that
Yeah,
was the key of that 93 team. Like, they just didn't beat themselves. Like, they didn't have the most, kind of like skilled team or anything like that. But that's exactly what we're talking about. And I remember that was the first time I ever heard somebody say that about hockey, how important it is not to beat yourself. And it's really something that's coming to the forefront in terms of how important it is for Montreal right now too. So really nice to see the boys getting that consistency. And I think another word you used there, which is really key, is maturity, right? Nick Suzuki talked about that a couple times this year, that needed to be a bit more mature. And we're absolutely seeing that right now.
and you can see also the way they manage the game. Like the four line play 13 minutes. between 13 minutes to 18 minutes, 19 minutes for the first line to four line, so you can see more balance, and that helping, I think, the the fatigue during the game because now they're going to play again another round of the three game and four nights. They play Monday night again Vancouver when they come
Yeah.
back home, so it's another way after a long stretch game on the road. So it'll be interesting what we're going to do against Chicago Blackhawks. Samuel Montebo is going to be the between the pipe against Chicago Blackhawks. That's a good call. I think you need to win those games. You cannot drop those games. And I think there's a way. If you lose Tobash, you put Tobash in Colorado and you lose, it's okay. I think there will
It's
be
a
a.
bonus.
It's already
Yeah.
a successful trip right now with 3-0, but you cannot drop the game against Chicago. I think this is the key for Montreal. If they want to stay in the mix a long term, this is a
Yeah.
game part of you
You got
winning games on a year, right? You put on the calendar, this is a check. We cannot do that. A team and the below, at least at the bottom five, Montreal at this point. But I'm a little bit not worried, but a little bit concerned about the day off, right? They have 3 days off right now. I think first, second, third. Yeah. And Chicago play one game there, but Chicago struggling too. But it's not a team bad or
yeah.
look like the record is, by the way. They have
Yeah.
they have a
What
couple
the
of players there.
one thing that scares me about that game in Chicago, coach, I was watching on Daily Face Off. They have that show in the morning cup of hockey, right? And they had Pat Maroon on this morning from the Chicago Blackhawks, and he was on talking about how disappointed, like, and you heard a couple of reports like of some of the Chicago players were just really disappointed in the effort that they gave at the Witcher Classic in front of
Yeah.
all those fans. So I'm a little bit concerned. Like they're going to be cranked up, right? Like I think they're playing a bit guilty after not having a very good game. Is essentially the biggest window, that they're going to have this year. Obviously they're not going to make the playoffs. This is kind of their Super Bowl, right? And they laid an egg. So I suspect that the Blackhawks are going to come in very, very strong. So it's going to be a tough game. I like that they have Montembeault playing. I agree with you 100%. Like you're kind of like pushing all your chips in the middle for the game that you think you can win. And if you end up winning in Colorado, that's just a bonus. And sometimes you know um, they might play a little bit more harder defensively, knowing that Dobesh, like he had a good game and everything, but he's still pretty young and still pretty inexperienced. So sometimes the team will defend a bit harder, just because they know they want to protect. Like look at the last game against Florida, like he saw all the shots. Like they played really well in front of him, right? So I like the decision. Some people probably question why wouldn't you put Dobesh against the weaker team, right? But I like this. I like this strategy that they came up with.
And Marco is a tough game, Colorado. First of all, is a
Yeah,
team is getting the group is coming back. Now they have the
definitely.
positive of the Landstag skate right now with the team, so that's another good positive about the team. Lekonen were doing well for the last couple of games. They have better performance now. They have Blackwood between the pipe, and put this together now. Montreal play a back-to-back game. Have to travel after the game tomorrow night from Chicago to Colorado. The game finished at 11 o'clock Central Time. They game 1 hour. The game start at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, so it's earlier the schedule of the game. Plus the travel, back late, go to bed very late, and then you have to deal with elevation with that part
Yeah,
together. So he put this together. It's not an excuse, Marco, but you really face a very big challenge against Colorado right there. The team is going to be, and then you want to come back home, right? You want to get out quick and be back home because now it's since like 27 they traveled. Yep,
yeah, I
that's
think so. Yeah,
yep. So it's like over 10 days now. So we'll see the chance, but that's the reason I think Montebo is right there. Chicago, go get the W over there, and the rest, whatever happening is happen for Saturday night again. The Colorado Avalanche. But the purpose of the show tonight, honestly, for everybody, it was the Montreal Canadiens Preview 2025. And we want to see what it looked like for the Montreal. I'm going to start from January all the way for the upcoming season next year, the 2025. We're going to go around and I'm going to ask a question for Marco and for people in that chat. Give us your prediction or your preview of the 2025 to see what you think could happen for the Montreal Canadiens. So I'm going to share the graphic. We want to welcome everybody pop up late in the show. Happy New Year for all of you. I know I cannot mention all of you shut up, but pop up. But don't forget, please, to click on the like. If you don't mind, that'd be great. That's the only thing we're looking for every single night to click on the likes. So let's see what we got here for 2025. Here we go. We got the graphic here. And the first one is question number one, and for people in the chat. And the mix. Main for the game, I'm talking about March, April for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, February, you still there, but I think really for me is really after the trade deadline where you need to be in the mix to be a part of that. So the question about this, Marco, is that do you feel the Montreal will be there, and how they can be there? What do you feel will be that road for the Montreal Canadiens? For the people in the chat, you can answer to us to get the start of the conversation if you feel like it's going to be in the mix or not. Again, the mix not be a part of the playoff. I think for me, it's 5 points to the wild card,
Yeah,
and at least the game counts for something during the month of March and April. So here we go,
yeah.
Mr. Marco.
No, I think you're right. Like I think that buffer of points you're talking about, like 5, 6 points, and it really depends who the teams are too, right? Like I don't have the calendar in front of me, right? But those, coach, at the beginning of the summer, we talked about how critical their record against the Atlantic Division was going to be. So, if you can continue to win those big games against teams in your own division, then you give yourself all the chance in the world to kind of stay in there, right? So, um, I don't see any reason why Montreal can't maintain, like, maybe not the same pace that we're seeing now, like 7-3 in their last 10. That's amazing, right? Like I'm not sure they can maintain that, but if they can stay around 500 and maybe one 10 game segment they're 500 and then they go 7-3 and then 500, what you want to do is stay above 500 at the very least during that. But it's also the teams that you beat that are important too, right? So I think they have the opportunity now. Again, one thing we haven't talked about, coach, like if you look at why Montreal has turned things around. So the core things, they started playing better defensively, right? They started, putting together to practice kind of all the things that they've been wanting to do since training camp. That's number one. Patrick Laine coming back, Alexandre Carrier, and now Dobesh, and just goaltending in general. Those are the pillars of kind of why Montreal's kind of turned things around that most people are talking about. The one thing, though, that many people aren't talking about is health, right? Having a full lineup, that's another key part here too, right? So if Montreal doesn't have any major injuries, I don't see any reason, because Montreal's superpower, coach, is the ability to roll out those four lines like we were talking about, right? So having that balance across your lineup, having the D pairs that you can kind of roll out. One thing we didn't talk about so far, Savard apparently left practice today. So we'll see if he's going to be in Chicago. Like it's clearly that he's been nursing something over the last couple of weeks. But they need to stay healthy. If they're going to be in the mix, they absolutely need to stay healthy because Montreal is one of those teams where they just really need all four of those lines coming. Depends who you lose to, right? Like you don't want to lose somebody like Gallagher, but it's a little easier than losing like a center or losing somebody in your top six necessarily, right? So I think as long as they stay healthy, they have an opportunity to be in the mix. And I'm with you 100%. Like, 6 points. I think if they're within 6 points, after the trade deadline, to me, that's more than enough, right? As long as it's one thing being not mathematically eliminated versus still being in the mix, right? So we don't want to be either. So the Montreal doesn't want to be mathematically eliminated, but they also want to be in the mix. And in order to do that, they need to be around 5-6 points out. So I think it's really going to be those key divisional matchups that are going to be critical. And we'll see, like maybe some of the teams that they're chasing right now, coach, it's hard to think of the teams that Montreal is battling against, like Detroit, Buffalo, Rangers. It's hard to think of any of those teams doing any worse, right? Montreal is playing really amazing. And it's hard to imagine the Rangers, Sabres, and Detroit. Like Sabres and Detroit have turned it around a bit recently. But before that, they were just in a total down spiral. So one team to look out for is Boston. Montreal has a couple of games in hand on Boston. And it's too bad. How many games do we have against Boston, coach? I think just one left, eh? It'd be nice if we had a couple games against Boston, but I think we only play them 3 times this year, which is too bad.
Yeah, you're right
So
about that.
yeah, so I think there's still enough games. Like there's some really critical games. I think in April, and for Ottawa, there's 3 more games against the Ottawa Senators.
Three
So
for
what you really
Florida
hope,
Panthers, Marco, between March 15 to April 4th, I believe, 3 games.
yeah. Well, that's not really a team I think we'll be battling with, but to me, I'm looking at teams that we're going to be competing against directly for a wild card, right? Like those games are going to be very hard, obviously, against Florida, especially since Montreal shut them out last time. I'm sure they're going to remember that. So those are going to be very tough. But the games that I'm looking for are teams you're directly playing against. You've already wasted your games against
I can
Pittsburgh.
give you,
Those
if
are
you don't mind, Marco, I can give it to you.
sure.
Boston, 1 more game.
Yeah.
Buffalo Sabres, 2 more game.
Yeah.
After that, we have to go a little bit. I will drop Detroit, 2 more game. That's a good news
Yeah.
for that one over
That's good.
there.
Yeah.
Florida, like he mentioned, 3 game. But it's just talk about Atlantic Division, Marco. So that will give you a little
Yeah.
bit an idea right there. Ottawa Senator, 3 more game. This is really more important game. But you have 2 game
Yeah.
also on the Metropolitan. The Flyers have 2 more game against them. So there'll be another one
Yeah.
you have to look about that team. And then
We're done with
finally,
Columbus. Right? We're done
and
with
probably like need
Columbus.
2 more game. 1 more game,
Are we done?
Columbus. No, Columbus is over.
Yeah.
Columbus.
Yeah.
And that's it. Washington after that, but
Yeah.
it's not a part of this. So
Yeah.
it's not easy for the Montreal Canadiens. They have a lot of big game on the other side, on the
Well, their
Western
calendar, coach, like
Conference.
the difficulty of the rest of their, from what I was reading, anyways, it's about the middle. It's literally 15th in the league in terms
Yeah,
of
yeah.
how difficult their schedule is. So it's not the easiest, but it's right in the middle. So to me, I'd rather be 15th in terms of difficulty of schedule. It means it's manageable, right? So just means you have to win the games that you need to win. And so far, Montreal, you can't, like, really the only games that I think that they had to win that they didn't win were against Pittsburgh. Those games against Pittsburgh really going to hurt. Really, really going to hurt. Especially early in the season, coach, like when Pittsburgh was playing really bad. Man, you look back at those games and I think they're really going to regret those because Pittsburgh was not playing well at that time and they just, at that time, Montreal was just not feeling it. And then there's that last game against Pittsburgh where they just completely lost it in the third period. Those games are going to hurt for sure, but and the other games against Boston too, right? Like those games are going to be the only ones that you regret. But other than that, like you said, that I think you showed us it was like they're 5-3 against the Atlantic Division so far,
Yeah,
something like
it's
that.
funny you talk about this. That's what I was doing. That's what I'm
All
doing
right,
right now
there you
about
go.
that. So I'm going to give you exactly the number right there. They are 4-2. They are 5-2. They beat Ottawa. That's pretty good. 5-2. And then they are 6-2 so far in the Atlantic Division for that part. So that's a big change. And again, the 3 game they lost again the Pittsburgh Penguins, that's not helped them
Yeah,
uh, this season. And remember, like last year, I think Detroit, and the year before that, Ottawa hurt all the time for them. But we'll see. Look, I think for me, they will get there. I think it will be important to be in the mix. And at the end of the day, they have to, like you said, you're absolutely right. You're not going to finish 7W every 10 game. I think a 5 game, 6 point every 10 game. I think that's a
yeah,
good trend for the Montreal Canadiens a long time. So let's move on. Canada just scored a goal, 3-2.
three
Barton
two.
has scored a goal for
Why
team.
was he scratched the last 2 games, coach? Makes no sense.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why they had that guy scratched the last 2 games.
I know.
Crazy.
Um, a lot of question about the team Canada. In the chat, we
Oh yeah,
talk a lot about the roster, everything like
for
that.
sure.
I can understand everybody to get there. The next things about what happening after that is honestly for the trade deadline. And the last couple of years with Ken Hughes, they look more like a seller team. And now you have a choice, buyer or seller, or can you be both? So I'm give you that question for the people in the chat also. And not only to answer me only buyer or seller, But which player for the Montreal Canadiens could leave the building for the Montreal Canadiens, and what the reason behind that? And so I'll let you answer that question. And for people in the chat, same thing, tell us like, do you expect Montreal will trade many of them or not of them because they are maybe in the mix or they want to help the Montreal to go a good year? So you can consist your conversation in the chat. So Marco, here we go. Montreal at the third line.
Well, why don't we do it, and why don't we kind of explore the two different alternate realities, coach, right? So alternate reality one, Montreal is still in the mix, right? In that reality, it makes zero sense to trade anyone, in my opinion, unless it's like a first round pick for David Savard or something like that. Which is not impossible, but not likely, right? To me, it's very, very unlikely that they're in the mix and they start trading guys out. Suzuki's been very vocal about it. At the end, in his interviews, his exit interviews and everything, like he's getting a little sick of Montreal trading guys away. Like he understands as part of a rebuild and all that, but it's no fun, right? Seeing your guys leave at the end of the season when you're completely out of it, right? So to me, it would be totally demoralizing to the team for management to do that to the guys who bust their ass all year to stay in the mix, and then you start shipping guys out for like a second round pick or a third round pick. Makes zero sense. Like you can't. Again, some I know people have the strong opinion that no matter what, like you have to stick to the plan, stick to the rebuild. But guys, like you have to adapt, and you have to think that sometimes you have to make an investment in the guys that you have now, right? To me, making an investment is okay. We might lose Armia as a UFA, but having him there and continue to play out the season and continue to help them on the PK, continue the great chemistry that he has on that fourth line with Heineman and Evans is worth way more than a third round pick or like a B level prospect that might play in 4 years from now or might end up not even being close to what Armia is right now, right? So in that scenario one, where they are in the mix, it makes very little sense for me to trade anyone unless it's a miraculous offer that you would be insane to turn down. In scenario two, and again, to be consistent, coach, we've both just said that we expect them to be in the mix, right? But let's say for whatever reason, we talked about injuries. Let's say, they get a couple of really tough breaks here and they get some massive injuries and things, for whatever reason, just fall off the rails again and they're no longer in the mix. Then it's a little bit different, right? Now you're starting to look at things a little bit different. But I still think that depending on the situation, I don't think you want to trade all of the pending UFAs because I still think it's important to have a good experience for the guys that are going to be on the team because you don't want to take a step back here and too much of a step back like last year, and then you start and you lose 60% of your games in the back half of the season either. So to me, I would be open to them selling, but coach, I've been on record saying this for a while now. In my opinion, and some people will disagree with me, in my opinion, Montreal, for the most part, is done with the asset collection phase. Now, again, if you're getting a first round pick, that's a blue chip asset, right? So it's not the same thing. But collecting, like third round picks, fourth round picks, collecting, like a depth guy or whatever, Montreal is past that right now. They need to get their guys good experience, and they need to start to continue to learn how to win. So which players are on that list? Dvorak, obviously. If somebody is going to make an offer for Dvorak, I think, if Montreal's out of the mix, I have no problem, especially if they think they're going to re-sign Evans. I have no problems with them bringing it back towards the end of the year to play, get some games, a couple games, right? But you do want Beck to play in Laval too and go deep in the playoffs, right? So that's another thing to consider. Savard, again, by trading Savard, people immediately think that by trading Carrier, that was kind of like a preamble to them trading Savard because now it gives them that liberty to do that. Well, guess what? As soon as you trade Savard, you're pretty much in the same situation you were before. You now have too many left-handed defensemen, and you're forcing guys to play on the wrong side. So unless you have a solution to bring somebody to come play on the right side to replace Savard right away, I would not do it. I wouldn't trade Savard, I guess, unless it's a first round pick.
So what
Because
you said,
then,
Marco, is exactly what I'm thinking is about that, right? You
yeah,
only sell if you get high value in return.
yes,
Whatever is the name of the
absolutely.
player, does it make sense? Like whatever is even they will rack Amia or Sava. If you get something high in return and not
Yeah.
necessarily a first round pick, it could be a really good top prospect or maybe a player established in NHL. What they thinking that player can helping them a long term. It's just all possibility. I don't have the right answer, but for me, that's what I'm thinking, Marco. If they sell, they get a very high. On the same time, they're going to maybe buy, if they're losing, example, Jake Haven, they maybe get a player right now to take his spot for the rest of the season to help in the Montreal game to stay in the mix. So for me, my best answer will be both. They maybe go seller and they maybe also get buyer on
Yeah.
that direction, in my opinion, on the trade deadline. And again, you only trade if you get something good in return. If
And
not,
one thing too, coach,
you don't
one
need
thing too is
anything
that
else.
one thing is, we have to take into consideration that you'd assume that there's some discussions happening between Kent Hughes and Jake Evans' management team, right? Like his agent, right? If for whatever reason you know that you're not going to be close with Jake Evans, like let's say he's asking for 5 million for 5 years or something like that, that's a different story too, right? Like out of all the assets that Montreal has, Evans, I think at this point in terms of UFA, I think everybody would agree he's the most valuable UFA that Montreal has, right? So again, I'm on the record saying that I think Montreal should re-sign him, and I think the number for me is a little richer than your number. I think anything under 4 million, I would be okay, but anything over 4 million, that gets a little bit dicey. So if you're getting the sense from Jake Evans' agent that they're looking at something above 4 and the term is like 5-6 years, maybe then you're looking to maybe cut your losses there, right? But I hope it doesn't come to that, because obviously I think it's critical that Montreal have at least one of Dvorak or Evans come back next year, because like we've talked about many times, coach, like I just don't think Owen Beck is going to be ready to, and like if he comes in and steals that spot from whoever is playing in that position, great. But kind of like Kovacevic, right? The one, it was kind of like a little bit of a mistake they made this year. Like, okay, we're just going to trade Kovacevic to make room for those guys. And then unfortunately, nobody was able to take that spot. And then they had to go out in the marketplace and find somebody else. I would rather they go the other way, which is keep the guy. And then if the player comes in and steals his job, then you get rid of the guy, right? So that's how I see it with Owen Beck. If Owen Beck comes in next year and he plays lights out and he can kill penalties, he can take critical draws in your zone, be there last minute of the game, killing plays, all that, fantastic. That's a huge win for the organization. But if Montreal doesn't want to take a step back next year, which I don't think they do, I think they want to take a. That's what the thumbnail of your show of this show is: Montreal taking a step in 2025, not taking a step back. So we all hope Jake Evans will be part of that solution. But coach, if they're getting signals that it's just not going to work, then I think it would be silly of them to just let him walk to free agency, right?
You're absolutely about that. That time we see, and I think, guys, you had no rush to sign Jake Evans. I no rush, from my opinion. Yeah, yeah, you can wait. You can wait him and see.
I don't
Um,
know. Why would
because
you
I would
do
say
that
to
though,
you,
coach?
do you really
He would be
believe?
talking
Do you
right
really
now.
believe Jake Evans is going to do another month of 12 points next month?
No, no, but I think he's getting enough traction around the league right now, coach, that just with the number of it's not just the points that he's getting, right? It's the important minutes that he's playing. Those are all things that players use to negotiate, right? Like their face-off percent. Like there's different things that metrics that they use to negotiate their contracts, right? And comparables that they can use other than just points. So to me, it would be an absolute like I would be shocked if Kent Hughes isn't already talking to Jake Evans and his agent. If he's not, then he's not doing his job. He absolutely like I disagree with you, coach. Like there is some urgency. you need to understand, like, you don't have to necessarily sign him, but you have to know that you're close enough that it's likely that you're going to be able to sign him, or else it would be irresponsible to just let him walk to free agency.
Maybe
I
Ken
wouldn't say
Hughes, he
that
called him, but the agents said, no, we have to wait. I don't want to talk about this right now. I have to wait
that would be a
another.
flag. That would be a flag for me, coach. I like I would be fine doing that with Savard, Armia, with Dvorak, because I don't think you're getting. I don't think their value is as high as Evans. So to me, it would be irresponsible. I would be surprised too that they like. I guess it's possible, but I would be shocked that that's what the agent's approach would be, right? Because I think that an agent would understand that Montreal needs some clarity as to kind of what they want to do. Because if
Yeah.
the guy says I'm
Well,
going to free agency,
yeah, I can
then
understand the point of view, Marco. We said to you, what do you think the number of the agent, not the number of the Montreal, what do you think the number of the agent Jake Haven is looking for?
he's probably starting at 5, knowing like what I'm saying. He's probably starting somewhere around 5, and Montreal starting probably around like 3.25 or something like that. And what you hope is that they land, like I said, somewhere under 4. That's what I hope. So of course the agent's going to start higher. He's going to be comparing. He'll be using his recent production to try to kind of amp up his value. And again, like it all. This is where it's you don't want it to be like one of those arbitration things where the management team has to start making a list of all the shitty things about the player you hope it's not that kind of negotiation. You hope it's in good faith. The team's winning right now. Jake Evans was drafted and developed by the Montreal Canadiens. You think there's a lot of goodwill there. It really seems like Jake Evans doesn't want to stay in Montreal. So let's hope that the agent wouldn't take an approach like that. But if for whatever reason it doesn't look like, if the guy's saying, we're going to free agency to explore the market, or if they're signaling to you that it's going to be way out of what you think that you're comfortable spending, then I think it would be irresponsible. But again, if the marketplace is only giving you a 3rd round pick for Jake Evans, then I'm fine with letting him walk to free agency. But if you have a 1st round pick or a really good prospect, on the table for Jake Evans, and that you're not going to be able to sign him, that would be irresponsible not to do that, in my opinion.
We'll see what's happening about that at trade deadline. Let's move on. A little bit hard that one, honestly, but I want to hear what you think about the Montreal Canadiens. The next thing about the trade deadline, honestly, is after the season, and if Montreal's not in the playoff, we have to go to the NHL draft, and the picks are the Montreal Canadiens. So first of all, answer this: bottom 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15. Flame Calgary, what do you think you're going to finish? And from that, if you know exactly between, which player are you targeting? You can make 2, 3 names on that board, and I'm going to respond if it's possible or not. And maybe you're right. We're going to have conversation. The people in the chat can tell us exactly the same answer, like I just asked the question for Marco. So, which rank you believe in Montreal Canadiens? What do you think about the Flame? And after that, who do you targeting for the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, right now Montreal would pick 13th, right? And right now Montreal's pick is 16th. So, I think, to be honest, like I think it's probably going to be right around there, coach. I don't think it's going to change that much. Like Montreal, I think it's going to be between, say, 13 and 9 is where Montreal will be. Let's say 8, just to be clear. 8 to 13 is where I think Montreal will land. And I think Calgary will be somewhere, between, say, like 16 to 13, hopefully. Like they can go right up to 12, right? And then Montreal still gets their pick, right? 12 is the lowest they can go.
So another question about that: do you think the pick on Montreal will be higher or lower at the Calgary Flames?
I think Montreal's pick will be lower. So the Montreal's pick will be first, and Calgary's pick would be second.
I agree with you. Bottom 10 or after over bottom 10 for Montreal Canadiens?
I think they're going to be between, like I said, they're going to be between 13 and 8. Montreal is the range, I would say. So they'll pick between 8th and 13th overall, and I would say Calgary is going to be somewhere between like 17 to 13 overall. So I think
You make
that's
them in the
where
playoff?
Calgary, yeah, just barely. I think they might make it.
No. You,
They're
you
pretty good.
you believe they make it?
Montreal, no.
No.
The playoff?
Calgary.
Yeah, I think Calgary will be right there. They'll be competing for at least a wild card spot
Okay.
because Vancouver is not doing super well right now, Coach.
So me, I'll give you Montreal bottom 10, and I
Yeah,
will give you Calgary Flame between 12 to 16.
yeah, we're not too far off. Like I have Montreal, like it could be 13. They could be number 8 to 13 in that range, and Calgary 13 to 16. Right, so we're not that far off. Either way, like so, if you're picking 8, then you're in Dinwiddie kind of territory there for Montreal's pick, right? Depending on how things go, I think you can forget players like Higgins, McQueen, Martone, Schaefer, Misa. I think all those guys are going to be gone. If for whatever reason, you know how I feel about Anton Frundell. If Anton Frundell falls to 8 and you're able to pick at 8, I know you really like Eklund. I like Eklund too. Like he reminds me a lot of Tyler Benson. You know, he's a smaller guy, but with a very strong motor. Really wins puck battles for a smaller guy. Listen, I like at that range, I wouldn't be upset with him, but it really depends what else is available. But I like his spunk, right? But just his size, right? Like Montreal does have some other undersized guys in that lineup, so it really depends what would be there. And then after that, so to me, what I would hope is for number 8 in that range for the Montreal's pick, like if you can get Frondel, Dinwiddie, Eklund, those kinds of guys, then I think you're in good shape. And then you're getting into that extra tier. I really like Carter Bear quite a bit. We should actually have Michael come on and talk to us about Carter Bear, since he knows him really well. And he's going to be right in Montreal's range unless
It's
he continues.
Bear a Reed are the two players
Yeah,
are the most rising and
yeah,
the top since the beginning of the season.
yeah.
Uh, both of them. So that's a good
He might
name
be
you
Iginla.
mentioned.
He
You
might be
mentioned
this year's Iginla. He might be this year's Iginla, right? Like not in terms like not the same kind of player, but the same kind of rising.
yeah.
So I really like Bear. I like Justin Charbonneau, right? But again, like again, it's the best player available here. But Jake O'Brien's pretty good. Like he plays center, so I like him. I would really stay away from Ryabkin, coach. Like I don't really like what I've seen from him in the KHL this year. So to me, those would be kind of the guys that I would target in that range. Um, I don't think Lakovic is going to be there. He's another big kid, but those are all guys that would be pretty interesting to have in the mix.
Yeah, I would not touch Rapkin a lot, Devin.
No,
Uh,
no, no.
Rapkin, I don't. I'll be surprised. He's top 15. Would be more like 20. I understand, but he's struggling this year.
Yep.
Frondell injuries, McQueen injuries, and now Sheffer injuries. Do you think all three players are going to drop in the standing?
I don't think Schaefer is going to drop that much, coach. I think he's pretty much a known commodity. But
Yeah,
based on what we're seeing from what's going on with Lidstrom, who's now had another back surgery,
yeah.
I think some teams are going to be a little bit more
Concern.
hesitant. Yeah, a little bit more hesitant. So that's maybe why we saw Seneca jump up in front of him last year. So maybe that's something to keep an eye out for McQueen. But yeah, like I would be surprised that it affects Schaefer. I think certainly, uh, I think Hagel here, Hagen, sorry, has done himself a lot of favors with the tournament that he's having for the U.S. And I think he's picking up a little bit in Boston. I was kind of leaning more towards Schaefer as number 1 overall this year, but like with his injury, maybe he drops to 2 or 3. But I wouldn't be surprised if a team still decides to prioritize him over Higgins just because of his size.
First bad news from Montreal. Detroit win tonight, 5-4 again. The Columbus Blue Jackets. So
Was it an overtime?
no,
Okay, well that's still good news. One team's got to win, right? As long as teams are not collecting 3 points,
yeah.
it's going to be so. Columbus is right there in the mix too, coach. So to me, either team, like I don't like in a way. It depends how you look at it, coach. Like when you say it's good news because Detroit is behind Montreal. So if Montreal is chasing Columbus, it's good news that Columbus lost because they're chasing Columbus, not Detroit.
Yeah, on that side, yeah. But Detroit right now is on the good
Yeah,
turnover. I think they are 3-1 under the new coach
yeah.
for that.
I
We'll see
commented.
what happening about that. Financial draft, like I said, was a bit difficult to call that one over there. But now we're going to
Yeah.
get finished with three things here.
Okay.
And the next thing is about the summertime for the Montreal Canadiens. Are they going to add players? If it's yes, is it by UFA? Is it by trade? Then I want to hear from you. You're the position, the targeting position. And then if your name you're targeting, let us know. And the same session for the chat and the people. What do you think Montreal is going to do during the summertime, during the draft, and during the UFA period or the trade during the summer? So here we go, Marco. Not a,
Yeah.
not a great question, Marco, for you tonight. I think it's a good time for to do that.
It's fun. Yeah, this is great. It's exciting, right? Like, hopefully, we're not being overly biased because how well they've played in the last 3 games in terms of what are. I'm trying to be balanced, right? In terms, I'm not trying not to get carried away with how good they've played in the last 3 games. We know it's going to be up and down a little bit, right? But in terms of the summer, coach, like I think for the long time, Hugo has been telegraphing to the fans that this was going to be the summer that they were going to be the most active, right? And it makes the most sense because you do have a lot of money coming off the books with Dvorak and Armia and Savard, right? And maybe Evans, but hopefully not Evans. So it makes a lot of sense that Montreal would be active there. The only bad news is that it's not, in my opinion, it's not like unless you really think Rantanen is going to go to free agency, which apparently, for according to I think it's Frank Saravelli or somebody else recently saying that the negotiations are not going super well with Colorado right now for Mikko Rantanen, but he is going to cost you like $13 million, right? Is that is does Montreal really want to spend $13 million on a winger? I don't know. I don't know. Like Rantanen is like a top 10 player in the NHL, but I would much rather spend 13 million on a center than a winger, to be honest. I know Rantanen can play center a little bit, but I would want to I don't know. I really like Rantanen, but I don't know. I'm a little nervous. UFAs in general, coach, make me nervous, right? The biggest mistakes are always made on July 1st, in my opinion. It's pretty rare that you're going to have teams that make the right moves. Like just look at Nashville last summer as an example. Now you do have teams though that can make really smart moves, right? Like look at Washington this summer. Totally different. But if you look at what Washington did, it was mostly trades more so than signing free agents, right? Like Pierre-Luc Dubois and Chikrin being the biggest moves that they made were trades. So so if there was a UFA that I would target, obviously Rantanen is the biggest name out there because I don't think Marner's going to sign back in Toronto. Like it's like 95% sure that that's going to happen in my opinion. So really Rantanen is the big name. I just don't see that being a fit for Montreal for whatever reason. The one name that I hope is going to be there would be Sam Bennett is to me the best fit that Montreal could want as a second line center would be Sam Bennett in my opinion. Left-hand shot, he would be absolutely perfect guy to like I love the age that he's at. I love the experience he brings. I love the way he plays. I love everything about Sam Bennett. So if he's available, I would gladly be happy for Montreal to overpay for a guy like Sam Bennett for sure. But I don't think that's going to happen either. I think he really likes it in Florida. Look at what happened with Reinhardt this summer. I would be shocked if he goes anywhere as well. So all that to be said, if there's going to be something that happens, it would be on the trade market. So even though we like what we're seeing from Kirby Doc, I don't think we're at the stage yet. Again, coach, we've talked about this a million times this year. This year is all about evaluating whether Kirby Doc is going to be a second line center. We love that he's been playing a bit better recently, but I don't think we can say for sure that he's that yet, right? So it really depends on how this actually is going to play out here. Like we're going to see how the rest of the season plays out. But to me, the biggest target would still be a second line center. Today, as we're speaking on January 2nd, of 2025. I think the biggest hole in the Canadiens organization is still a left-handed shot second center. So who can they target on the free agent mark or as a trade? I don't know if coach you want to go through certain things. Like there's so many guys. My like to me, similar to Sam Bennett, I love like a McTavish. In the Anaheim, I think would be Mason McTavish is like the next Sam Bennett. He would be exactly the kind of guy that I would
Yeah, I can
target.
see that. I can see his role about that. I think Leo Carlson will be the number one center over there,
Well,
and
yeah, absolutely.
McDavid will play a really a good role, and the second line we balance the top six over there. I agree with you. Maybe not
Yeah,
physical like Bennett, or a bit more mean, but McDavid would play the same similar play like Bennett,
yeah.
and more
So
talented. By the way, I think he's more
I think he's
talented.
yeah, he's a little bit more talented. I think there's still a little bit more grit to his game. But I agree. He's not like dirty like Sam Bennett. Like he's not
Yeah,
filthy like Sam Bennett.
yeah,
But
exactly.
I think
30, I think is the right words about him.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
sorry
he's a
about that.
gamer.
Yeah.
But like the way that I would characterize it is he's a gamer, right? So that's kind of what you want. Big game player. I really like McTavish. So to me, the profile is a young veteran left-handed center that I love. If we could have Suzuki and another Suzuki that's left-handed, that's exactly what I'm looking for, right? Like that can have this same kind of production as Suzuki, 75 to 85 points, but left-handed. That's exactly what Montreal needs because I don't want them to go get a $13 million player because then it's going to be very difficult for them. You have Demidov coming, you have Hudson, and if those guys hit, coach, they're going to be freaking expensive. So I would rather have two 1A centers rather than going out and getting like McDavid or Draisaitl or Matthews, right? I'd love to have three centers deep that you can put out against anyone else. So to me, that would be the biggest thing to figure out this summer. And depending on what happens with who you lose as a UFA, if you're losing Armia and you're losing Dvorak, and if you're losing Evans, Montreal's biggest strength right now is their bottom six. So they're going to need to replace those players. And again, if you look at what's on the market, coach, in terms of UFAs, Montreal probably has the best players in those positions right now. Like I would choose, if you're looking for a fourth line winger to kill penalties, wouldn't you go and sign Armia at the right number? Wouldn't you pay Armia like $2 million a year for 2-3 years to play on your fourth line and kill penalties if you're a team that's built to have balanced lines? So I don't know, like if you're going to lose those players, you're gonna like there's gonna be some guys that come out from their system, like Beck's, maybe gonna come up play some games. But again, like you're Montreal doesn't want to take a step back next year. I would much rather that these young players, they have to come in and earn a position. Don't just give it to them. Like Montreal, we've talked about this, coach. They have one of the best bottom six in the NHL right now, which is good news. It's competition. So I don't know why we're so eager to move off that, to be honest.
I
So
think they will move up of Dvorak and Armia, for my opinion. I think there will
okay,
be two players they're going to go. I think they have to move forward, step forward, like I said, the show. I think you have
okay.
to go move forward. You have to use open and, Armia is what, 32, 33 right now?
No, is he?
Yeah, he's over 30 years
I
old.
thought he was 30. Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, so I think Montreal is going to go that direction now. Between Devorak, I think the wreck is over with Montreal. Now, Amir could sign a deal 2 years. Like, the windows or can use, I think, is
Yep.
about 2 years, I believe, for the Montreal Canadiens right now for the next 2 years. So I think they could sign him about 2 years. Maybe
That's
like
that's what I was
Savard. I
thinking.
think Savard could sign 1 year contract,
Exactly.
example. Uh,
That's what I'm
uh,
thinking, coach. Like I'm not saying signing up long term, right? But so if you can bring back some of those guys that are in the bottom six in a short term deal and they're going to be making less than they are now, right? I don't mind doing that. You're right. Like maybe some of the players are going to from Laval are going to come up and steal their positions, and we hope that's the case. I just don't want to assume that's the case And then when it does, if it doesn't happen, then Montreal is taking a step back. You know, I think it's good for the culture and it's good for the players for there to be some competition. You know, so first of all, the veterans that are signing, they're going to feel the heat coming from Laval, and then the guys from Laval know that they're going to have to work their way into the lineup. As long as you're not blocking someone, you know, like let's say for example, Juracek, right? He felt like he was blocked in Columbus, or there's a lot of examples where like Broberg in Edmonton, right? He just felt like he was completely blocked. So you don't want it impossible. You don't want like somebody in your organization to feel like, okay, you just went and traded, or Askarov in Nashville, another great example of somebody that felt blocked. The Nashville decides to re-sign Saros to a long-term deal. So to him, you're saying, okay, well, obviously I don't have a long-term future in this organization. You just committed to this guy for 7 years, right? So as long as you're not doing that, you're still giving the opportunity for somebody to come up and steal a job, but you're not just handing it to them on a silver platter. I like that because it's going to, first of all, make sure that Montreal continues to move forward and continues to be good, or as good as they are now, at least. And then if the young player comes in and beats the guy that's already there, that means they're going to be even better because they were playing better than the guys that they already had. So to me, that would be the thing I would be focusing on, coaches. If they can get a second line center that's left-handed, because even if Doc works out as a center and you keep Jake Evans, you've got Suzuki, Doc, and Evans and Beck, all right-handed shots. We talked about Newhook that can take draws on the left side. Okay, but still, that's like he's not really that good at faceoffs either. So to me, that's a crying like when Dvorak leaves the organization, coach, that's going to be a really big organizational need is a left-handed center. And to me, like if you really want to take a step next year, the bottom six for Montreal has been elite around
Okay,
the
so
NHL.
Devarek is leaving, Marko.
Yep.
Um, I know New Hook is coming down,
Yep.
but and we have about. It's risky to thinking Gallagher, at least Gallagher, maybe Anderson too, but more risky. Gallagher is going to be the same Gallagher next season. I think one player I was targeting, if I was Montreal Canadiens, is Trent Frederic for the Boston Bruins. I
He's
think
not a
there's the
center though. He's a winger. He's a
yeah,
winger
no,
though.
he's a center. He plays center now.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He plays wing.
No,
He's a
no, he
winger.
plays. Yeah, 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 yeah. He's at
No.
the third center for the Boston Bruins right now. He switched back and forth, winger, singer, and I think that we kind of player you need at the bottom six for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, honestly, I don't think we have a four line, Marco. I think we have third line. Does that make sense?
Well, like that's the thing is if you get a second line, like if Kirby Doc was consistently playing like a second line center, and then when you have Demidov, that's a
I,
second. I think that's a potential very very
I
good
think
second
they
line.
will keep Doc for one more year for evaluate him. He still have one more year with RFA. I think they're going to keep him this next season, and then they would bring New York at the bottom six over there. The key
I'm
for
not saying
me
you don't
is
keep. You can still keep Doc, but just play him on. Like I'm not like I still like Kirby Doc, and let's say he turns out and he has a good season. Like I would still like the Kirby Doc, but you just play him on the wing. I just don't know if he can play center, right? If you have Kirby Doc in your top nine as a right winger, eventually replacing a guy like Armia or Gallagher or Anderson, I'm okay with that. Like I'm not saying you have to trade Kirby Doc, but you just need a second line center. To me, that's still the missing piece in this whole thing.
yeah.
Like the problem for Montreal right now is not their bottom six. They have tons of solutions for their bottom six. So I'm not worried about that. Their top line is pretty good. Like you can still debate. You
I
still
think
have
for
some
me, going
concerns.
to targeting a right defenseman for
Yeah.
during the summer, in my opinion. And then after that, they may be targeting a center during the summer. I think it will be a short term, but I think they will try to get from the inside. So first, they're going to try to get Evans and Armia sign a contract in Montreal. And to fix the right defenseman, they will send maybe Savard one more year. but I don't think Montreal should go with Savard. I think Montreal should go with younger players and the right defenseman. I think the progression Mayu is not there, and now not helping the Montreal, and Ray Barker is not going to be ready. So I think they will try
How do
to
you know
get.
that?
I'm
How do you know
sorry.
that, coach? How do you know
His
Reinbacher's
injury.
not going
You can see the injury of the doc, and he need more time, Rebecca, to play in Laval to get more game at least for 1 year. He need to catch up
to?
his full year of this year. He lost completely, and he lost already last season after the season. So it's a little bit like for him, it's go get Laval exactly like Adam Ekstrom, and then after that. Um, be ready the year after that. Now, for Mayu, obviously, he's not ready. He's not going to be ready next season. So I think a right defenseman will be important if they're losing also Savard. And I think Savard, for me, with all the respect I have for him, I will not keep him around next season. At least he's my seventh defenseman. But you need, anyway, a right defenseman.
So so as long as you're not getting somebody like I was just talking about how you don't want to block someone long term, right? So if you're going and you're getting Rasmus Anderson at this point, are you then blocking the way now that you're happy with Carrier? Are you then really blocking something like because I think Rasmus Anderson only has 2 years, right? But if you're going to trade for Rasmus Anderson, you're doing it because you want to re-sign him, right? Like you're not doing it just to win one season, right? Like so, if Montreal is making a trade for a player like that, it's because they want him long term. So to me, I don't mind if they were to bring somebody like another Carrier kind of guy that is on like on a 2-3 year deal as a bridge until Reinbacher is ready. I'm okay with that because again, Reinbacher, I agree he's going to want to start the year in Laval next year, right? But let's say he really starts to play well in Laval. I don't want him being stuck down there and it's impossible for him to come up because they're just completely full with contracts, right? So I want that at least that bottom pair to be open for him to come up if he plays well. And then I want him to be able to leapfrog over Carrier to play second pair, right? And then you're right, coach. Then the jury's still out on Mayu. Like I think his ceiling, is looking less and less like he's going to be able to play in the top four. To be honest, he's like like he's an amazing offensive defenseman, and he's got some toughness and physicality. But the thing that's still missing is the defensive play, right? And his reads and his positioning on the ice. And we'll see if he's able to get there. If he's able, like Jackeye, if he's able to suddenly click into those things, then it unlocks like a whole new kind of guy, right? Because his physical tools are there. He can skate. He's big. He has a shot. Very good offensive instincts. But it's just that what you call like that common sense, that common hockey sense. We're not seeing it yet. But if he can find that, then I think there is the. So I'll correct what I said. His ceiling, I think, is a number four defenseman in the NHL if he's able to find that. But if he's not, then he's somebody that brings a lot of value, maybe on a second unit power play because of his shot and his physicality. But you have to protect him on a bottom pair. That's the kind of like that's more kind of where I see him, right? So if that's where it ends up, coach, then I agree. Montreal's going to need to go find another top four right-handed defenseman long term. But so it really depends. So if Mayu still has a lot of value on the market, maybe Kent Hughes, it would be smart for him, because Mayu, I think, still has a lot of good name recognition in the marketplace because he had such a strong year offensively for Laval last year. He was all-star team. Like, I think a lot of teams still think really highly of him. So if you could package Mayu with, say, Calgary's pick or something to get another top four right-hand D long term, that's like a Rasmus Anderson kind of guy, I wouldn't be against that either. I just want to make sure that you're leaving one of those top spots for Reinbacher because I still think Reinbacher is going to be the perfect partner for Hudson eventually. Like I think they're going to play really well together. Um, and I'm never one to just assume that I don't know how long it's going to take for him to readapt from his knee injury, right? You want to build in some time. You don't want to force him back into the NHL, but I also don't want to block him out in case he progresses faster than we think.
That's my point. Like you get a defenseman experience with some kind of leadership for 2 years. You know, the window of 2 years contract, the 2 years, you get there. Now you can get a second pairing defenseman for 3 years, Marco, where you have no problem to use right now Cody Carrier on the first pairing if I have to run out for the next 2 years. And then that defenseman get out after that, not Carrier, but a new one by Rebecca's coming with the Montreal the next 2 years. I think Rebecca could be one of Montreal the next 18 months, Marco. I think the year
But are
number
you
two.
but are you willing to pay a very, very expensive asset for a top four right-handed defenseman that you're only going to have for 2 years?
No, I would not go there. That's my point. I would go with a guy like 30, 32 years old, a defenseman, and join the Montreal Canadiens, can give a couple of more minutes, and that's it. I would not pay a lot of money to spend a top four.
So
Because
I
you
don't
look
know.
at what happened with Carrier. Carrier give you at least a minimum 3 years, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Ray Barker is going to be there the next half of the 18 months. So if you can think about this 18 months, Montreal could get a defenseman. I think third pairing right now can play second pairing or better as Savard. And I think that will be stabilize the Montreal Canadiens on that moment. That's the reason I said I'll go that way. But we'll see. McKenna got hurt from the behind, but we'll see what happening after
Five
that.
minutes. 5 minutes left, Coach. Do you think Canada has it? Robble's been playing pretty well here too,
Yeah, I,
For
I, I
for the
don't
team.
think so, but we'll see. Let's move on. We have two more subjects. July 1st, every year, you have a rule in NHL. So after the July 1st, like the UFA, all the players or RFA can be at our last year of the contract, can negotiate a contract. They don't have to, but they can. RFA. So extension contract after the July 1st. I ask you this question. Do you think Montreal is going to offer a contract to Patrick Laine? Are they going to give a contract to Lane Hudson? Also, Kirby Dak, Eneman, and someone else, not the same level, or RFA, and they are eligible for the extension contract. But do you think right there, during next summer, Montreal Canadiens are going to offer a contract to Patrick Laine and Lane Hudson?
So I think they're two very different cases, right? Like Line, I think they're taking a wait and see approach. Like I think they love, from what you can tell, it looks like the fit is tremendous. Like not just in terms of his impact on the team, like on the ice, but it seems like he's fitting in really nicely. But we know there's a bit of a history there with Line, in terms of being able to get along with teammates long term and things like that. So it's a really nice feel good story, but I'm not willing to commit long term to him yet. I love him and I love the story and everything right now, but I think if the management team is smart, they're kind of waiting a little bit longer. Let's see how the rest of the year plays out before we start talking about maybe. But let's assume it does, right? Let's say things continue like they are right now. Line continues to be a really good teammate, playing really well. Like and the thing with Line A coach is not only that he's scoring the power play goals, but I think he's playing great 5-on-5 too, playing on the right side of the puck, like completely the opposite of everything that you hear about Line A. I think he's been great, right? Um, so if all that continues to be the same, then why not? Like I think it's good. There you go. Canada ties it 3-3. Who was that just scored?
Yeah.
Was that McKinnon?
No,
No,
number
that was
10, Nadeau, I believe.
Nadeau. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good for them. Not dead yet, coach.
And the Toronto
So
Maple
yeah,
Leafs scored a goal at the last 2 minutes. Bobby
wow,
or Bobby
Monahan,
McMahon scored his
McMahon, yeah,
second goal of the game, 12 of the
he's on
year.
fire. He's on fire. What a great pickup for. That's exactly who they wanted. Like a guy to come in on their third line, low cost. Like that's a really good pickup by Kyle Dubas. Say what you want. Another nice little pickup by Kyle Dubas there. Nice garbage goal there by Nadeau. That's what the problem with Canada. They haven't been able to get inside all tournament. They keep dominating with shots, but they can never get to the front of the net. And there you go, coach. Where did they score the goal? Nadeau right in front of the net, scooping in exactly as it should be. So if it goes well, yeah, absolutely. Have a conversation with Patrick Laine. Dip your toe in the water, see kind of what he's looking to do, and if he's willing to do something that's reasonable, like obviously I think the number would have to come down a little bit. Then I'd be open to doing it, but I think it's still early to really know kind of how that's going to play out. For Lane Hudson, that's a completely different story. I think we know what we have there. Similar, like Coach, we said this when we talked about the extension for Slavkovsky, is the key thing that you're looking for to extend a guy like that, that's a part of your young core, is do you believe in the person? Other than kind of what you're seeing on the ice, do you believe in the person? And I'm talking here as I'm watching the game at the same time here. But the thing that we know about Lane Hudson is, we talked about this earlier in the show, his work ethic and his belief in himself is elite, So to me, a guy like Hudson is somebody that I'm the earliest opportunity I have to sign him long term, you're doing it, because you're betting not just on his play on the ice, you're betting on him as a person and his own commitment to being an elite defenseman in the NHL. So I think as soon as there's an opportunity to start talking about an extension with Lane Hudson, it's going to happen. Montreal has shown that's how they like to do business. If they know that this guy's going to be part of their core, they're not going, like, obviously there's a couple guys they weren't certain, like Kirby Doc, for example, so they're not afraid to do a bridge. But I think all the things that we're seeing in terms of how Lutzen, how he conducts himself as a professional coach, I don't think Montreal is going to hesitate to do that.
Yeah, I think he's going to follow a little bit of what Quinn Hughes did, and I think there will be maybe the Coley situation too for Lane Hudson. I don't think so. They're going to give him a 8 year or 7 year, but we'll be
Really?
interesting about that. What happening? Look,
Why?
I'm watching Canada. I think they have a
Yeah,
penalty right there, but I'm not sure if they called it or not.
yeah, he's got a penalty. Gibson.
Now the referee talking each other.
Oh, another. That's the second time this game, coach. Like, they got a kneeing penalty earlier in the game. Yeah, that's going to be a kneeing penalty again. Jesus. So undisciplined, this team, coach. It's crazy.
I don't think so. I don't think there's a knee there.
That's going to be a knee.
He goes straight to the guy. He never move his knee, Marko. Look, he goes straight to the guy. He missed the guy, but I don't think so. Any pushing.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going to review, which they do every time.
Yeah.
So we're not going to. Did we want to pause in the show here, coach, and cover the last 3 minutes, or what do we want?
I want more. The
Okay.
roster 2025.
Yeah.
Very shortly. What do you think the rookie? How many rookies is going to be a part of that?
So, I think Demidov's going to be there next year.
I don't know,
right?
but Marko, I want to stop you because I think one of the mom that Team Canada is going to die tonight. I just want to let you know that. They have three moms right now. Miss George cannot watch the game anymore. She's behind. She's hiding. And then Miss Gibson right now, she's in tears right there. So
being a goalie mom, coach, could you even being a parent of a goalie, like how stressful?
This is terrible. Terrible.
Wow. Yeah.
Look at his mom reaction. The mom right now.
Yeah. It's kind of like my reaction yesterday. I was watching poor Devin trying to talk during the show, and I was like a concerned mom watching Devin trying to make it through the show with his voice. That's pretty
We
funny.
have the under review there.
Yeah. Okay, it's definitely a kneeing. Is it 2 or a 5? He's definitely getting a kneeing. 2 minutes. 2 minutes for kneeing. I agree. Like, I don't like the call, but I can see why they called it. I think the Czech players, they're just really good at kind of like putting themselves in that position. But I agree. He didn't get his knee. He got his upper thigh.
All right, let's go back with the rookie of the Montreal.
Yeah.
Who do you think we're going to make it?
So, well, Demidov won, right?
Yep.
Demidov for sure is, I think, is going to be on the team. I think Evans, or sorry, I think Beck will probably be in the starting lineup. And I think that's pretty much it, Coach. Like I unless
What
they,
about? I'm
you know,
going to give you some name. Okay,
okay.
Tobesh.
We'll have to see how it goes, right? We'll have to see how it goes. Like it depends if Fowler, because I think Primo is going to be a restricted free agent, so I don't think they're maybe they don't re-sign him, so maybe that gives Dobesh his spot again. If
Yep.
Dobesh comes in and kills it as a backup this year, then yes, yeah, I could see him. But technically, would he be a rookie? You know, if he's going to have almost half the season, right? So I don't know if he'd still be considered a rookie, but if he does well, then I could see that. If they feel like he has to go back down this year, then I could see Montreal going to get a more experienced, like a 2-year guy to come in until Fowler is ready or until Dobesh is ready. So, but yeah, it's a possibility. But as
What
long as he's
about
playing game,
Kapanen?
I think he's going to be a bubble player. Um, you know, I just maybe like if Armia doesn't get re-signed, then I could see him, um, you know, maybe coming in and being part of that bottom line, right? Like, so you could see a line of like Beck, Kapanen, and Heineman or something like that. Um, but maybe you have like Gallagher fall down to that fourth line to add a little bit more experience. Yeah, I could maybe see that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays in Laval either.
Yeah, good point about that. I will set you for Tobesh, Marco. I will set
Brutal.
to you for Marco. Oh, they score.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Ouch. Wow. Look at the bench, the Czech bench. Well, the story of the story about this tournament, coach, is going to be lack of discipline, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. I just want to see the replay on this. Oh wow, is that Chalet again?
One timer shot.
Genic? Wow, beauty shot, beauty shot. Patrick Line style.
The blocker of the George. He did not drop quicker.
That's a good. It's a nice shot, man. You didn't. Some people are saying that George should have had that. That's like a. It's a pretty good shot.
George was already down.
Well, you had to, guys. It was a pass through the crease, right? Like it went around the box, but it's still you had to move side to side, right? Like it's just a perfect one timer right inside the post. That's a
Yeah.
good shot.
30 seconds to go remaining. Now they still holding.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team, the team Czech here, by the way.
No, well, Chalet, you know, it's his. I think what his third tournament.
Yep.
Oh, here you go. What does everybody think of Easton Cowan? Poor kid, he is getting absolutely crushed on social media right now. So, if anybody that's watching, please show some restraint. Like I know Easton Cowan's had a very tough tournament, but don't be a jerk and don't go on like on his social media and just remember that these guys are kids, right? Like these, it's one thing to be critical of like professional hockey players, but who was that the Quebecer coach that played for Anaheim that had a really bad World Junior and he got absolutely crushed on social media? Shit,
Yeah.
what's his name again?
I know who you're
That
talking
skid
about.
Anaheim. There should be some Como. Shit, should be so no kicker. Who in the chat tell
At one
who was
time, it
the
was
kid?
not Maxime Comtois.
Oh, toi, exactly. So Easton Cowan is the Maxime Comtois of 2025 right now. So don't be a jerk. You know, it's going to be very tough for him already. So have a little bit of grace with these kids on social media. It's not easy, man. Like they take the whole Christmas, the whole holiday to go out and do it. Nobody is more disappointed than they are right now. Like you can see how upset that these kids are. So much pressure, so much pressure. Like Maxime Comtois, like you can say that there's certain guys that really like you can say this tournament can make your career, but it can also absolutely break your career
Yep.
as well, right? So that's a tough one.
Well, just take a note, guys. I always said, don't judge too much the players on during a World Junior Championship. because it's only few game, five of them, six of them, seven game, and that's not change the pronostic of the long the future because you play with 16 years old, 17 years old, like McKenna or whatever it is. So you have to think a little bit more. Um, like, don't be too high and don't be too low on the players on the World Championship. I don't think so. There's a good indication about during the year or the eligibility or the NHL draft. But I want to give you one more thing about Tobesh, Marco.
Yep.
The reason I said Tobesh with Montreal, I think Montreal is going to let go Primo because they cannot get. I think it wouldn't be good to have Fuller and Tobesh with the Laval Rocket. I think they need more. I think if they feel Dobesh is ready, and now I don't know, and we don't know yet, but I think that would be the best scenario for them is to bring Dobesh back up a Montembeau and Fuller to be um, the number one in Laval. I think that would be a good one. Now, Joshua Webb is another one that would be very interesting to follow up for the upcoming year, if he's going to make
Yeah.
it or not. I think Webb become more an asset to be traded to anything other things to do a package deal for Josh. I don't want to give up on him, but I think it would be a good way to see him on that situation for Joshua Webb. And I think they are the only rookie I think right now they could be uh, possible to be a part of the roster for Montreal Canadiens. But again, those roster could change with the departure of different player Marko also. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we did really another review of the year of 2025 on Montreal Canadiens. Now, it's not perfect, right? But we'll see what happening, of course, on that situation. So that will give a lot of people talk about this, what's going on around the NHL. We have a couple of results, Marco, to give you. The Star lead 3-2 again the Dallas, again the Ottawa, with 13 minutes to go. Jet Ducks 2-2. Sabres is 2-0. The goal for Canada is Dizalo. So McKinnon is removed. Triple W is in the house. Welcome back. The Flames still 1-1. The Flyers lead 1-0 against Vegas. The Kraken lead against Vancouver Canucks. Only the four goal of Stephenson. And you said earlier the UFA sometime. I would be aware of any UFA in my opinion, but that's not a subject at the time. Rangers beat the
Yeah.
Boston. The Carolina Hurricane beat the Florida Panthers. The Wild beat and
Florida.
stood out the Capitals tonight. The Detroit beat the Blue
Florida. Like,
Jackets
are you
5-4.
shocked? And, like Minnesota coach, like I just don't like how are they? It's just like, incredible what they're doing. Like I
Marco
don't smokes
Rossi
and
has
mirrors.
15 goals.
That's insane. Like I
Rossi
just
is
don't
only
see.
5'9", by the way. Is the center number one
Yeah,
right now in NHL. So
incredible,
really interesting. I think for me, Gustafsson is really the good answer of that team.
unreal.
Kaprizov is Kaprizov, right? But I think that's the way. And then the total Maple Leaf came back with two goals at McNabb and McMahon and to score a goal. At McNabb. It's a long time don't say McNabb. Peter McNabb. Remember the number 8, Peter McNabb.
You know,
Anyway,
another team
Toronto.
that's coming on, coach. Another team that's been playing really well is Anaheim. Anaheim's really starting to come on pretty good too. I like they're right there with Montreal in the overall standings. Playing a lot better hockey recently. You can't really discount what Dostal is doing over there. Dostal is just having crazy year right now. Like really interesting to see what they're going to do with Gibson there now that Dostal is really establishing himself. But yeah, Anaheim similar to Montreal, right? Starting to put it together a little bit. There was a lot of whispers in Anaheim that the players were really not happy with the culture of the team. Like the coach was very hard on them, and they didn't like the environment. But it's starting to pay off a little bit. Really like what Anaheim's doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to give you 6 questions, then we get over because your dog is going to be ready to get out. And I'm going to
Yes, sir.
finish with a clash, if you don't mind. Uh, Absolutely not at all. It's all about the Montreal Canadiens. So it's not like a specific thing, but it's a projection, Marco. I forgot where are they? Here we go. The. Here we go for everybody in the chat. Are you ready? The Star lead
Do
3
it.
again. Here we go. Montreal Canadiens finished 6th or higher at the Atlantic Division.
Whew, all right, let's go back here. Okay. I'm gonna say absolutely. I I don't see like it's gonna be close. Like I don't think they're not going to kind of like run away with it or anything. It's gonna be close, but I'll say absolutely. I think like Detroit's coming on, Buffalo's playing better. Like I said, if Montreal stays healthy, I think they can stay in the position they're in now.
Okay, I will say not allowed, like I said the last show. The Calgary Flame losing right now 2-1. I will get the next one. I've finished in front of the New York Rangers.
All right, let's see what it looks like right now. So right now, Montreal is only 4 points ahead of them, and they have one. Um, I still find it very hard to understand, like to believe that just the Rangers are going to continue to perform at that level unless the Rangers really start to sell more assets. I don't think Detroit. I think it's getting a little late for the Rangers to jump back into the playoff race. But I think I'm going to say absolutely they finish. Sorry, absolutely not at all. The Rangers will finish ahead of Montreal in the standings.
I agree with you about that one. The next one, Montreal Canadiens, more points que Utah.
Ooh, all right, let's go back into the standings here. Okay, so right now Montreal has right. So Montreal's at 37 and Utah's at 38. So they're pretty much tied. I'm going to say no because I think Utah plays some Central Division teams more often. Like the Central Division, that's one thing. Entertap's not going to like this, right? But when you're looking at teams like Winnipeg and anybody in the Central, the Central is the weakest division in hockey, in my opinion. So I think they play more of those teams. So I'm going to say Utah. I don't see what their schedule was for the end of the year, but I think Montreal probably has a little bit tougher matchups than Utah. So I'm going to go with Utah finishing ahead of Montreal.
So not allowed for you.
No.
Okay, I will go with you. Montreal finish 12 or higher in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, so if they finish 12th, I'm terrible. Like I have to look at it or else I get completely lost. All right, so 12th. So right now they are 12th.
Calgary tie the game.
Nice. So in order for Montreal not to finish 12th, it means that the Islanders, the Red Wings, the Rangers, or Buffalo, we need to finish ahead of them. So we've already established that I think the Rangers are going to bump up. So really, you would need Columbus, Pittsburgh, or Philly, or Ottawa, or Boston. So, yeah, it's gonna be tough. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm rethinking this Rangers thing a little bit. I'm gonna say not at all, Coach. I think they might finish 13th.
Okay, I will go not allowed also with that one.
Yeah.
Next two, the next one, Montreal et Suzuki have 82 points.
I'm gonna say absolutely because with the power play as it's going right now, I think a lot of players in the NHL to get your points, you have to have a power play that's working. And I think Montreal's power play, if everybody stays healthy, I think he's right there right now for a point per game. So I think he'll get there with the power play.
So both of them have 82 points.
Oh, well, sorry, Montreal and Suzuki. Well, yeah, I think Montreal. Okay, I missed that part. So Suzuki, I think will get. Okay, you tricked me. You got me. Suzuki, I think he'll get 82. And yeah, I think I predicted Montreal would get about 85 points. So I think yes, absolutely.
That's
I know
you
think they're
going to get. That's my question of the day or the night.
Okay.
And I suggest only Suzuki, only Montreal, or both of them are not allowed.
You think Montreal's going to get 80 points, right? That's been your 78 points is your prediction.
Yeah. So I would say not allowed on that one. For that one, we want to welcome back Gary Cornoy is in the house. Welcome back. Many of you guys, don't forget, guys, to click on the like if you don't mind. That'd be great. And finally, the last one. And tonight was pretty good. It's all about Montreal Canadiens. So Montreal finished with 38 wins.
38 wins.
Now,
So right now,
38 wins is 36 points. You said 85. They have to go, 9 tie game.
yeah. Yeah. Right now, they have 3. I'm going to say not at all. I think they'll have more ties. I think it'll be right there, like, around 37 wins, and they'll get a fair amount of ties.
So
But
Montreal finished with 38 win plus, right? I should have said that,
yeah,
honestly. No?
yeah, yeah. I think it'll be slightly under that, but they're going to have some overtime losses as well. That'll get them there.
So not at all, but you expect still 85 points.
I still think, I think my prediction was between 82 and 85 points.
Okay. So finish with 38 win. I would say no, not at all on that one. So I think it was pretty good. The clash. I think I like those. It's not like prediction, but it's about the Montreal statement. Performance for the second half of the of the season 24-25. So we did really good together, Marco. I think we touched a lot of points for the Montreal Canadiens, prediction for the Montreal. So now finalize this with your last word. We'll see Montreal play Chicago and the Colorado Avalanche during the weekend before they play Vancouver. But we're not going to talk about Vancouver. The 2 game on the road. What your expectation for the Montreal Canadiens versus Chicago and the Colorado Avalanche?
I think it's a very, what I'm looking for is how is Montreal going to be able to have their mindset ready for this game in Chicago, right? So on paper, Montreal will obviously be favored to win. But like I said, Coach, Chicago is going to be ready. They really didn't like their performance after the Winter Classic. So it's not going to be an easy game. They're going to be motivated. They're going to be angry. They're going to want to make it up to their fans for the last game. So it's not going to be an easy game, but I still think Montreal is going to pull it out. I think I'll take Montreal over Chicago, and I'm gonna take Colorado. I think they have Drouin back. They're kind of rolling right now. We'll see how it goes, but it would be a really great road trip if Montreal can split these 2 games. What an amazing road trip that would still be, Coach, if they can finish with that record.
Colorado losing 2-0 and now again the Buffalo Sabres. By the way, the Flame tied the game 2-2. The Jets just lead 3-2 at the last minute of the game. But 2 minutes to go. The Kraken lead 1-0. Vancouver, not looking good, Vancouver. They have something going on over there.
I'm surprised you didn't have something around should Montreal trade for Peterson yet.
Yeah, I'll keep this for next week with Franks. We'll see what happens about that one over there.
All right.
All right, Marco. We finished. So then you go with your dog right now. So thanks so much, Marco. I can wait to see you next week for another notebook. And next week we should be back on Wednesday. So I can wait to see you next week. Great job. Great fun to be with you again tonight. I can wait to see you next week. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
All right. It was Marco Narabi, guys. Again, with his great co-host. I love to work with Marco also. Marco bring a lot of great knowledgeable about hockey in Montreal Canadiens. So great performance from Marco. We want to thank all the people in the chat. And of course, the reason you're doing well. The Ducks tied the game. Kudas score. Radko Kudas score his first goal of the season. Sorry about that. I can't wait to let you play that song.
You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you.
And that's how you are, the people in the chat tonight. We appreciate a lot. RJ Calabro, the news update. Moderator Danny, Luciano, and Artap, and Ron. All of you guys with us tonight. Very great. Likes a little bit. We don't get a lot of likes tonight. I don't know what. It's happened. Maybe it's holidays and everybody is tired. It was a double cheeseburger yesterday. It was a double cheese yesterday, guys. But that is a story for another time to mention this to the channel. Hopefully an amazing great night, everybody. And of course, we wish you an amazing great day. Be well, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, or find a way to dominate the first app of what now? 2025, the misery will be over. It's no big deal. I can tell you one more thing, guys. The Hockey Nation Show, the Ab Nation want to tell you one thing, sir. We love you, friends. Have an amazing, great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock p.m. Chicago Blackhawks versus the Montreal Canadiens. And Saturday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time at, again, the Color Avalanche. Here we go. One more time. Are you ready? Have an amazing, great Friday, everybody. See you tomorrow.